Good morning, everyone. Meteorologist Jaret Lansford here. I hope your day is going very well as we get our Monday underway. We've had some sunshine. We've had some cooler temps, too. We actually tipped down into the 40s this morning after getting to 87 yesterday. That's the power of a cold front, and we're going to be feeling that more fall-like air throughout the day today. I'm going to first alert you just how long that ends up lasting, and also the timing of some shower chances that will be starting to move in as we go through today. And over the next couple days, we've got a few more chances for some of that rain to try to make its way in. So let's go ahead and start talking about how things look right now and where we're heading as we head through the rest of the forecast. And right now, it's actually pretty sunny in the metro and most of the area in that same boat. We have recovered pretty nicely. We're up to 54. Notice that wind straight out of the north going at 15 miles per hour. We've been getting a couple gusts around 20-25 miles per hour. We'll still have that chance as the rest of our day goes on. But I do think we'll warm up pretty nicely over the next few hours and make it to about 69 for a high. That's right near average. It's definitely cooler than yesterday, but this is pretty typical for this time of year. What ends up happening, you may notice here, our high happens around 2-3 o'clock, and then we'll actually kind of level off in the mid-60s. That's as we start to increase the cloud cover and even get a chance for a few spotty showers to make their way in as we get into the evening hours. So right now, pretty quiet on the satellite radar. When I zoom out, you'll notice a little more cloud cover to the west, and that's just a sign of where we're going as we get later in the day. You notice some of that cloud cover shower activity off to the south and west. That will push its way toward us. So let me walk you through how it plays out. And here you can see even at the middle of the day, we're still looking at a partly cloudy situation for us. So still not seeing the cloud cover fully in place, but as we get into the afternoon, you notice the cloud cover does get more widespread, thicken up, and we also get a few spotty light showers, particularly north and west of the metro as we get into that 2-3 o'clock time frame. As we get toward 4 o'clock, we could start to pull a couple of these toward the metro, and we're going to have a lot of dry pockets with these, but you'll have to watch for maybe a few of these that are just enough where you have to play with the windshield wipers a little bit during the evening drive and into the night tonight. It does look like the more consistent showers are going to hold off until overnight, and particularly tomorrow morning is where we really start to see the rain get a little bit more widespread. You can see some of that tracking its way through. Could be wet for the morning drive tomorrow, first alert to that. But you can see it really gets more widespread as we get into the late morning, the middle of the day, and we'll still have some waves of these showers off and on even into the afternoon. Not particularly heavy rain that we see, but enough that you'll definitely notice the consistent rain as that moves through. So waves of showers going to be persistent throughout our Tuesday. Lots of cloud cover, and that will hold our temperatures down. We're going to struggle to warm up a little bit tomorrow. Expect most of the day to be spent in the 50s, and then we'll just get into the low 60s by the time we get into our afternoon. Still a few showers around by Tuesday evening, and then we'll wind those down as we get into the overnight. Still have the chance for maybe a stray shower on Wednesday. So when we look at this graphic that takes in the next 72 hours, that's today, tomorrow, and Wednesday all combined. You're talking about totals that just don't really add up all that much. We're still talking about a ceiling that's around 1/4 of an inch for a lot of us. So it's not going to add up all that much in the rain gauge. It's just going to make for a more fall-like day tomorrow, and maybe a little unpleasant if you're trying to get outside, get some things done. So here's the overview of tomorrow, and we are talking about starting off in the 50s. It's not going to be as cold of a start tomorrow morning, but we also don't move as much during the day. We'll peak about 62 for our high. This is the one below average day for temps that we have over the next several. What you'll notice is once we get beyond tomorrow, we're going to see some changes in the wind, and that is going to be a big factor in where we end up for the second half of the week. So today, some gusts that are around 20-25 miles per hour out of the northeast to north, and then tomorrow, not as strong of wind, more of an east wind. A lot of times when we get an east wind, it makes it more difficult for us to warm up. and that will be the case alongside the cloud cover and showers. But watch what happens as we head into our Wednesday. There we go, south wind in place. And that could gust up around 25 miles per hour. With the way things will be trending Wednesday and Thursday with that south wind, we're going to take the temperatures up quite a bit alongside that. And those gusts even get stronger for Thursday. We're talking 30 to 35 mile per hour gusts out of the south. Friday, we're still out of the south, not quite as strong, but we're still 25 to 30 mile per hour gusts. So it's going to be a mostly breezy week that we look at. Ironically, tomorrow is the day with the least wind, when it's probably the most unpleasant outdoors. So temperature-wise, here's what it looks like. When we turn that south wind, you can see how that affects the temp. 77 for a high Wednesday, 81 Thursday, 76 Friday, all well above average. Our average for today's high is 67, and that average continues to tick downward as we go through the next week to week and a half and get deeper into the month of October. So well above average for that stretch. We will have a little mugginess around tomorrow with some of that rain being in place, so first alert to that. But overall, we really don't feel a whole lot of that, and notice how that just plummets as we get into the weekend. Much drier air will be in place, and we'll take a look at what that means for the weekend forecast in just a moment. One thing that will be happening this weekend is the Husker game. Not in Lincoln, but in Minneapolis as they go visit the Gophers. And we're talking about a forecast where we'll have to watch for a couple spotty showers, especially early in that game. Not very widespread, but a couple of hit or miss showers that could roll their way through. At this point, it doesn't look like there's any kind of lightning with those, so this would be more of an inconvenience for you if you are in the stadium for that one. And going down through the 60s as that game goes on. Also, especially early in the game, could be a little gusty. Could have some gusts that are up around 25 miles per hour out of the south. So that's the outlook for that game that we'll keep you posted on up there in Minnesota. Back here, here's what the forecast looks like. And there's the daytime temps that I already showed you. Nighttime temps don't really dip all that much, and that's a factor of cloud cover and wind. Those are two factors that can keep us from dropping off at night if we have either of those in place. And some of these will have both of them. So that's where you're looking at 50s and 60s. Watch what happens as we get into the weekend, though. Not as much wind, not as much cloud cover, and drier air. So that will drop our temps down. We're talking about some lows in the mid 40s there for our Saturday night and Sunday night. There is a possibility we drop a few more degrees with that forecast as we get closer. That does look like some really dry air that's in place. However, I don't think we get quite to frost territory the way it looks right now. And so you can see at the entire 10-day, not really much sign of that being the case even into next week. Now, I will say, notice the little 20% we have there on Tuesday. Keep an eye on Tuesday of next week. There is a chance that temperature goes up as we have a front that comes into the area, and out ahead of that, we may get enough of a boost out of the south that we see that temperature forecast increase as we get a little bit closer to that. But overall, still mostly looking warmer than average. There's some hints on the long term that we try to start to cool things as we get into the final days of October. You may notice here that we are no longer in the warmer than average as we get into that last week of October. So that may bring us a little bit closer to where we would expect to be for this time of year. But in the meantime, the next week and a half, we're still looking pretty warm for the most part, save tomorrow where we have some of the showers and cloud cover around, but mostly looking like we stay quite mild. So enjoy that. I'll have the latest update on what to expect for the rest of our day today and that forecast overall coming up on midday at 11 o'clock. Until then, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Get out and enjoy that sunshine while it's still in place, and be ready for a few showers as we get late in the day.